Okay, so you're listening because you want to get right to the core of things, yeah. Skip the endless reading, but still really get those big ideas.
Especially the ones that can really shift your perspective.
Exactly. Well, this time we're tackling something that might just do that. It's potentially mind-bending stuff.
We're looking at the cosmology of Walter Russell,
Hmm.
specifically the foundational ideas from his book, The Universal One.
Right. And the mission here for this deep dive is to really unpack Russell's most fundamental claim, the big one,
Which is?
that the universe isn't fundamentally physical. It's not built on, tiny bits of matter.
Instead, he argues it's, well, mental.
Yeah.
It's very root.
Mental. So forget the usual picture particles floating in empty space, bumping into each other. We need to sort of set that aside for a bit.
We're exploring a totally different framework based on how Russell himself laid it out in those early chapters.
And it's worth mentioning how he apparently got these ideas. He talks about this profound awakening. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. An experience where knowledge just flooded in. He described it as too vast for its confines.
Which definitely sets the stage, doesn't it? Hints that we're not dealing with conventional science here.
Not in the usual sense, no.
Okay, so let's get to that core idea. The mental universe. For Russell, mind isn't something that just, pops out of complex brains.
No, it's the origin point. The universe, he says, starts as an idea in what he calls the mind of God, or the universal one.
And that requires a real mental shift for most of us, I think. We're so used to thinking physical first.
It's the standard model, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have matter, energy, forces acting on things, impersonal laws.
But Russell's picture is different. It's intimate, alive, because it all stems from this conscious source.
Right. It's not a machine ticking away. It's an active, interconnected reality.
And this God, or universal one, these terms he uses, isn't some separate creator figure standing apart.
No, it's woven into the fabric of everything. It is the substance, the energy, the consciousness.
Imagine an artist. Is the artist separate from the canvas? Or the paint? Or the idea they're painting? In Russell's view, it's all one process. Source, substance, expression inseparable.
It's interesting how this echoes some much older ways of seeing the world. Ancient perspectives that didn't view the cosmos as a mechanism.
Oh, right. How so?
Well, seeing the universe as a living thing, an expression. Not just random bits colliding, but maybe a kind of story unfolding, or, like you said earlier, a dream taking form, a cosmic performance almost.
A dream taking form. I like that. So the things we touch, the solid stuff around us, this table, this mic.
For Russell, those are temporary manifestations, expressions of that core divine idea.
So creation wasn't just a big bang and done. It's happening now, continuously.
Exactly. Thought constantly becoming form. He used this phrase, the cosmic breath made visible.
Wow, that paints a picture. Dynamic, alive.
And think about what that means for consciousness. Our own consciousness.
Right. If the universe is fundamentally mental,
then consciousness isn't some late-stage fluke of biology. It's the foundation, the driver,
yeah.
The prime mover, you could say. It comes first.
So my feeling of I am, my inner awareness, it's not just trapped in my head.
In this view, no. It's more like a focal point, a specific viewpoint within a universal ocean of consciousness. We're all part of it, experiencing it individually.
Okay, let's go back to that artist idea. Like a master sculptor imagining a whole city carved from a mountain.
The entire city exists as an idea first, right? Before a single chip of stone is removed.
Yeah, every building, every street, it's all part of the sculptor's mental concept.
So similarly, the universal one holds the complete idea of creation. And what we see is the physical universe. That's just the idea being expressed, playing out, constantly shifting.
It really does flip materialism completely upside down.
Totally. Instead of consciousness somehow bubbling up from dumb matter.
Consciousness is the source, and matter is what happens when that consciousness takes, I guess, tangible form.
That's the essence of it. Which implies the universe isn't just random. It suggests it's, well, intelligent, purposeful at its very core.
There was that quote you mentioned earlier from Zoran.
Ah, yes. It captures it beautifully. Your universe is not a collection of things. It is a symphony of thought, played upon the instrument of light, conducted by the conductor you call God, and you are both the music and the listener.
A symphony of thought. That really resonates with Russell's whole idea. We're part of the music, and we're hearing it.
It emphasizes that deep interconnection, the mental nature of it all.
Okay, so here's something to try, maybe for you listening. It's called the dragon trial, kind of a thought experiment.
One.
Pick an everyday object. Anything. Maybe the phone or device you're hearing this on.
Okay.
Now, instead of just seeing, plastic, metal circuits, try to imagine it differently. See it as a temporary pattern.
Like a ripple.
Yeah, exactly. A ripple or a form held in place by this vast consciousness, an expression of thought.
So the question becomes, for you listening, if you really try to hold that perspective, even for a moment, how does it feel? Does it change how you perceive that object or reality?
Does it clash with how you normally see things? Does it spark any, I don't know, intuitive feeling?
It's certainly a stark contrast to the dominant scientific view we generally operate with.
Definitely. And really getting your head around this foundational idea universe as mental, consciousness as primary is key. It's the lens.
It's the lens through which Russell then looks at everything else.
Yeah.
Light, energy, matter, polarity, cycles.
Right. They aren't separate bits of physics in his model. They're all interconnected expressions of this fundamental mental reality constantly interacting.
So to wrap up this part, the core takeaway is Russell's assertion. The universe isn't ultimately physical stuff. It's mental.
A continuous thought, you could say, within this universal mind.
With consciousness as the actual substance, the source from which everything arises.
Which brings us to that final thought, something for you to kind of mull over, building on that dragon trial. If our reality, the world we perceive, is fundamentally a cosmic thought.
Then what about our thoughts?
Exactly. What does that imply about the nature and maybe the power of our own individual thoughts? Could they be more formative, more directly connected to our experience than we usually assume in a purely material world?
It certainly invites you to consider the creative potential locked within consciousness itself.
Yeah.
Our relationship to this mental landscape we might be living in.
Definitely something to chew on.
Indeed.
Well, thanks for diving deep with us on this. We've really only scratched the surface of Russell's foundational ideas today.
Oh, absolutely. His cosmology gets much more intricate, covering energy, light, motion.
Yeah.
Plenty more to potentially explore.
For sure. But hopefully this gives you a solid grasp of that fundamental and perhaps challenging starting point.